So Echo PB-265L. A nice little Echo leaf blower. That's what I was thinking. So that's why I decided to fool around. So I got it from Contractor Mike. He found this thing, and I showed this on my live show with a bunch of other stuff in a nice neighborhood, just thrown out with a bunch of stuff. Somebody was just liquidating. And I think it was a nice big 5,000 or 6,000, generator, kind of locked up. Then the pull cord, pull system, the pull mechanism was off of it, and I think was laying to the side. And I poured a cable chop box, which is just like the one I've had for years. So now that one got a Diablo metal blade for it. Clean that up. A ground leaf blower. That might be an Echo too. I forget. It's back there somewhere. This thing and a few other things. So I thought, all right, why not? Right? I generally don't fool with this stuff because it doesn't end well. And what you find with these is when we first look at it, you can see it has fuel line issues. Now, I forgot about this at the beginning. I realized later. You can just buy the fuel line for that. And I'll show that here. There's many places that sell it. Check your part number to be sure. But I'm trying to figure out what is going on with this thing. Now, I'm going to show this in chapters. So if you want to fix one of these, if you have one in its nice shape and it's time, like all of our two-stroke stuff, and it's time, you can look to see what I did with the carburetor. The carburetor is in very nice shape, but I think there's a flaw with it. We'll get to that in a minute. And then also what I did with the fuel lines using HIPAA line. Like I said, you can buy the pre-laid out line system, which is very nice. But remember, I don't want to put any money into this thing because you don't make any money. And I'll show you here, there's still, we got a phone call. Hold on. So as I was saying, there's always something, right? Well, it's a shop. It's middle of the day. There's always some kind of noise. We'll all have to get used to that. So there's just no money in it. But like I said, by the time you buy a carburetor and a fuel line and, this thing, I'll show you here, is about $100. I don't know what they were brand new. Like this is new, but you could still find them out there. I can maybe sell them for $100. Maybe. On a good day. Like now it's leaf season, but I thought, you know what? I want one. I need one. My big suitcase, old Craftsman 32cc fully rebuildable motor. It died again. Again, fuel lines. It's been around for a while. I fixed it up. I have a few others back there similar to it. I don't need much. I don't even need this ground blower thing that's out back there. I'm going to sell it probably to Contractor Mike. I don't need it. I want it for the shop. I want it for the garage. I want it for just a little bit around the property. And I have other ways of dealing with all the debris that's around here. But if you have one, it's great around the pool, around the deck, same kind of thing. You can fix it. And as I said, it's in chapters. And I do think there's something wrong with the carburetor. And we'll get into that. There seems to be a quality. What I see is a quality for, oh my God. This is what I mean. That's my friend Rob. I just had to hang up on him. Like, you're done. Right, I'm not dealing with that now. But then it's my family. It's a stupid cell phone with text messages going on all the time. Anyway, so there's a muffler mod I made as well because I think there's some design flaws in this. And it's probably why it just got discarded. Again, because if you have a little bit more money, you're looking at this thing and you're going, throw that out, throw that out, throw that out, throw that out too. I'm just going to go get new. So this if you want to fix yours, if you have one, if you want to check out the mods, the muffler mod I did, I got another, let's see, I wrote it down here. I got another 1,430 RPM out of it by doing this mod, right? And they're not great machines, but again, I thought Echo, right? I know it's plasticky and everything, and I thought maybe Echo. I've worked on some of the older Echoes, which I recommend. Leaf trimmers and stuff like weed trimmers and leaf blowers and whatever, some of the older stuff. And I do recommend if you can find those, and maybe even this one if you have one. Look, if you've already paid for it and you want to throw a carburetor on it, I go through this whole thing. Like I said, it's in chapters. I do the mod. I was pleasantly surprised, and then I went and tested it out. I haven't used it in here yet, but I thought at this point now, all right, I worked out the issues out of it. It fought me, which is what they do. They tend to fight. And I got through that. Now I have a clean machine. Again, shout out to Super Clean for helping out again with another project, getting it sort of cleaned up. And at this point, I'm going to use it for a while. I'm not going to sell it because I don't think there's any money in it unless I get something better and I've had this thing around. And if maybe next year it's been good to me, then I might throw a carburetor on it, right? Or I'll see if HIPAA, I'll check to see when I get a chance if HIPAA happens to have a carburetor for this thing. And that'll be another video. We'll throw it on. We can tie it in and see if it solves some of the little issues, the other issues that I have with it. And maybe we'll even treat it to a proper fuel log. Because that fuel log, the Echo fuel logs, and you see a lot of the stills, they use that kind of a fuel log setup, which can be very nice. As I said before, when you're sitting there with it and you want to square off a little bit of shop time and see if you can get it going, and you don't want to put any money into it. I mean, time is one thing, but money is another. You'll never get it back. But if you want to fix it, you've got one of these, you just want to find out what the hell I did, stay tuned. Let's get started. Oh, there goes the spider going down there. He's like, oh, I don't like super clean. Yeah, so he's getting all the bugs out and everything before we bring it in and start working with it. All right, while you weren't looking, I pulled the cover off. And the pull start, which looks real good. It was just a spider web in there from probably that white spider that came down. I pulled this off too. Let's go over to the table and we'll take a better look at it, I guess. But look at that, fellas. I don't even think we have to. It looks really good. It just needs to be cleaned. It was running good. Let's pull this carburetor off. Let me set up the other camera, but we'll get this off and we'll get this tank off as well. All right. Let's see if we can reuse this grommet that's in the tanks. We got 3 lines here, 2 lines. Not sure what's going on. Anyway, we'll get a better look in a minute. So I'll plug this out. Let's take these off first, I guess. Only mounted in plastic, so when you go to put them in, you know, use your 1/4 inch drive. All of them, it looks like they're the same. Now, these down here have this little washer hat. And all the rest are more like the cap screw. So you got this little thumb thing here. That's your choke. Yeah, I think I can. So what we want to do to get this off, this cable, let's see if we can open up the throttle, turn it a little bit, push it through, lift it up, pull it out of the way, and then how does this come off? It goes right through. All right, so that way we don't have to mess up our adjustment, and we can put a little lubricant all through this cable. Let's go bring this over on the work table. I'll set the camera up over there. This might be a vent. We'll look inside and see what the black one is, but usually you got a vent. So that probably went in there. And let's see. So one side will be a pickup, the other side will be a vent. Yeah, so black is the pickup, and it's filthy. I see it in there. So black is your pickup. We'll either put a new one on or whatever. And the inside of the tank doesn't look dirty. So when we look at it this way, all right, we're going to replace this little pump. That sounds good. So on my right hand, on my right is the clear tube, and that's going to be a return back to the tank. And on my left, this black tube, that's going to be the pickup. So that's suction coming in. Just get some of my tranny fluid mix on here, act as a release agent. You know, I generally don't like 2 strokes, but this is a pretty clean machine. I don't know where that other hose would have went. Oh, this is loose. Oh, that's not good, fellas. Yeah, so this is just like another vent. Yeah, this should be tighter. It might get a little tighter when we put some new hoses in. Let's see, let's soak it. Let's get it out. and let's soak it in some of my tranny fluid. That might clean up some filth on the side. All right, put that to the side. So let's hose this a little. I'll blow it out and just give it a quick rinse later. If you're gonna use a screwdriver, you gotta use like a blunted, rounded, smooth, no nicks. Just kind of tuck it in. You know what I mean? That's the best way to do it. So here's our pump diaphragm. Yeah, that looks good. That's in good shape. Yeah, nothing wrong with that. Gasket's down on the body of the carb. And yeah, this thing's fine. I'll probably put a new one on, but there's nothing wrong with this. That did work. Yeah, you could put some of that on there. It should feel like linen. That's clean in there. Yeah, quick rinse. We'll replace this just because they go bad at some point. But this goes up here. So this is in excellent shape. It's just dark, but it is in good shape. I got this little screw here. There's a little adjustment right there, which you're never going to get to. We shouldn't need to. Fine thread. Yeah, it's clean. So this stuff I like to clean off. This thing here, it's a Mylar. So I like to clean that with my two-stroke you can use, or we'll put that to the side, or my tranny saws. And then you can blow it with some compressed air, like a couple of pounds of compressed air. You know what's nice? A lot of times I have one of my hoses set up for about 20, 30 PSI. You can get the air duster, you know, bottle can air for like your computer and blowing off keyboards. And that way you don't lose anything, you don't damage anything. That's clean. That's like, there's like nothing in that. And there's probably nothing up and through here. But these are, I think, a little bit different screws. So the gaskets, yeah, these are a little different. The gaskets themselves, like they can take some gum out for a few, brief moments. But any of these Mylars or rubbers or whatever, they can't handle it. So everything looks real good here, fellas. All right, so this is over here where the screen is. This goes on first. China, it says. Does it tell you if it's a Walbro or whatever? No, it's just a tiny, whoa, it's a knockoff. Did you guys hear that? It's freaking walnuts hitting. You don't want to be outside and get one of those walnuts hitting your head. I'm lucky, now that I say it, I shouldn't, it probably will happen, but this should pull straight off. Don't twist it. Yeah. Yeah, we want to get some in there too. There's a little bit of junk in that. Well, she's in beautiful shape. All right, I'm going to get to it. Just a little bit of gum out through everything. A little bit of light compressed air. Blow it through. I'll be back in a minute. We'll do that in a minute. Let me straighten up a little bit. Yeah, it's going through. This is nice and heavy though. The plastic ones that I have, they're not heavy. And go blow it out of the way of the table here. It's going to make a bit of a mess. It's all going to come out into this. Yeah. And lower pressure. Yeah. It's not bad. Let me blow it. That's not bad. You can take this up if you want. It's not dirty. It's in really nice shape, but we'll just give it a blast. There's some dirt there, which is, you know, part of the outside. I got some dirt here. It's the cube. Yeah, this is all in good shape. Yeah, I'm not seeing anything. So what does this say? It is a Zama. It says Zama on it. You may not be able to read it. It's a Zama. That's good. We'll carefully take that Mylar off. Might be a little stuck on. This is where it helps to not use your gloves sometimes because you can't really feel. So this is... Yeah, there's nothing wrong there. There is very, this is all very clean. So I guess the hose failure, I don't know, maybe there's something else wrong. All right, let's get ready to assemble it. And so before we do assembly, while I'm sort of in cleaning mode, let's just put a little bit of gas in here in this tank. Let's switch it around a little. Make sure that all this is good. And if there's no water, and I'll go blow it out. And anything that's in here looks like it's so fine. The outside of the tank is good. Yeah, that'll pull any water out. Let me go blow it with the high pressure air. And I'll clean up in here. Let me straighten up a little bit. I got a lot of crap out. And then we'll do our assembly. And it's got a locating pin. We know it goes in proper. And you want to be careful with these pins. And is that a little piece of junk in there? Is our port? Hold on. It's a port. Yep, that's clear. Pin. Probably not going to be able to see it. It's not quite enough light. Because it's black. We got to get everything to line up. That's it. Make sure it moves. Well, it feels a little tight. No, there it goes. Make sure it's in there good. Snug them up. Let's check it. Feels like it's... Oh, I see. It's hitting over here. I don't think there were any other screws. They're short screws. I think everything clears once you tighten it down. Feels like it does hit that screw. I don't think there's any other screws here. They wouldn't be long ones. So even if you never saw it. But it does bind there a little bit. Probably, see? Binds on that screw. That screw would have to come down a lot in order for it to not bind. I don't think it opens up that far, but might want to take care of that. I'm not liking that. Let me run a file or something over that. They're all the same. There's only so many variation. They would be short because there's no boss for it. See, watch. Well, it's still hanging up a little bit. Why is it doing that? Let's take it back out. Like I said, it can only go one way. You cannot put it this way. The screw holes will not line up. Nothing will go together. It only goes in one direction. And there is an O-ring that seals it. It's pretty much open all the way. Once it gets to that point, it pretty much is open all the way. So I'm not sure. Could be a little warp. This is a precision thing. I've got this in my little hand vise. Yeah, I'm going to work this for a bit. Got a couple of different files I can use. It's not much. It's just kind of catching. It's the C-clip and the end of this this locator here. So the bigger hole is where that barrel on the end of the cable goes. That's where the cable goes. A little lead barrel. So you gotta make sure you orient it right, because you can twist it around. Yeah. Yeah, I'll spend a minute. You could grind it too, but it'll get hot. You can also take my buzz wheel and just go real quick on top. I should have checked this before I took it apart. Remember, I've never owned this machine. I've never seen it run, which is usually the case. What I did was I finished up with a fine file and I rounded over, sort of beveled the top a little bit. Because as this piece, the bottom of this brass piece, right, there's a C-clip on the end or an E-clip, and then there's a little bit more sticking out of this brass piece. It rides up over the screw and it actually winds up lifting this throttle valve, because it's a throttle valve. It's a cylindrical valve instead of a butterfly. So it might have just been a flaw from the beginning. So I don't know if you're going to be able to see it, but let me just test it. It rides up over it. That's pretty much full. I mean, the last little bit isn't going to do anything, but it won't even go any further. But it does lift it up slightly, and you can almost see that. But because it's rounded a little bit conical, it's slipping over it now and not just jamming into it. So just reducing the profile of that screw a little bit. Yeah, what the hell is this now? Working good. All right, let me shut that off. So this piece here, I just kind of pull off anything that might be on it. And let's see which way it goes again. All right, so I think I did it this way. Yeah, there's a little flapper. So you got a flapper there, you got a flapper there. That's a valve port. That's a valve port. That's a valve port, kind of. You'll know because if the pumper, the little bulb it won't load up with fuel if you don't have this right. And this went, can only go one way really. So that's how it was. Gaskets underneath on the plastic side. And it can only really go one way. Then you have this guy. So that's a newer one. And then this, which way did this go? Well, it must have went that way. Be my guess. So this is going to take a minute to pull down. So these are longer screws, because I don't think it went the other way, because you wouldn't be able to get the tubes on. So there was also this one long screw that went here. Not all of them have that, but it is a Zama. It's a newer Zama though. Again, I got to find the date. When we go to put everything back on, I'll look. See, I pulled that down nice. Let me walk all of these screws in. It seals the bulb. Yeah, that's falling down nice. We'll go in a cross pattern. You know, just snug it, and then we'll tighten it. That's right. You can see the kind of bladder that is, the pump diaphragm. And if you look on the other side here, it's a very small center plunger or fulcrum. Well, that's really the plunger. So I have another one, and the numbers, this is calling out for a HIPAA pack, but the numbers up here are not correct. But this one's not the right one. I just wanted to show you. This has a much larger, it has the same shape overall, but it has a much larger poker, right? That's the actuator for the needle valve, the seat assembly. This one seems to be correct, and it's just calling out, I can't even read it anymore. HIPAA pack of 20, CS15-S2 carburetor. You need to look it up, so you need to know what's inside your carburetor, and you need to get the right one, obviously. Now, these are really like linen, and you can see it's got the small poker, and it's got the correct arrangement. So the gasket was down first. You know, in this case, we'll put a little gasket's in excellent shape. Now you want to observe that too, because on some carburetors the gasket goes the other way, but usually it's this way. But that's not always the case, so you need to observe that. Use your camera, take some pics. That's it. And then later we'll put some chain lube on that. Chain lube, it's like a gel, not the wax, right? And that's opening up more properly and not getting stuck. And that might have been an issue. This is our throttle stop. So when you want to raise the RPM, if it's a little too low, bring it up with this screw. Barrel's facing in the correct way. There is another adjustment, but it looks like it's covered over. It's here. It's got a cover on it. We shouldn't have to adjust that. I don't even know if you'll be able to get to it, fellas. Honestly. Good luck with that. That's one of the other reasons why, like on the newer stuff, it's not as friendly to making tweaks and adjustments, but it's newer. And the older stuff is more adjustable, but the engines are older and they're dying, if not dead. Let's go. Let me go to the next step. So I'm looking at the different sizes, trying to figure out. So this one, you can actually see on this end, it's very big, so it's got to get over that. So I think the 3/16, which is this size, and the hole in there is much bigger than, it's like this is another one, but that's a short. I don't know if you can see it, but there's two different hole sizes. So on this hand, it's smaller. So HIPAA sells a pack. This is a longer length of it. And the outside diameter is a little bit bigger than this black hose. Well, I don't know if I could see it here, but yeah, it's like 3/16. And this is much thinner. So I'm trying to do, and this is the length of the black hose. So it would have came up, it's like, you know, our new hose is a little bit longer. So I'm going to try to put this through. Now, if you're not sure about how clean this is, your filter element, throw it out, put another one on, because if there's any restriction in that filter, it will not suck properly. Yeah, that's on there. It ain't coming off. Okay, because we could just drop that right in and try to pull the hose up. Now, I don't know what the hell is going on, why there's an extra one there, I don't know. So this is about the length of our return. Again, that one I think is too small. It is a thicker hose. Looks like a little bit more than 3/16. And that is going to be too thin. And this is the size. So that's an extra piece. So we'll use up some of our extras. If that's a return, so it can be really any length. This is going to be a little too long for it, but we can cut it. That grommet doesn't seem right. The only thing I can think of is that somebody did not put the right grommet. So if we have a problem with this and it doesn't run, so if we're to deduce anything, what I'm seeing is the return is the smaller hole, which would make sense, and our feed is the larger hole. And I guess if we look back in there, you'll see it'll be right over the screen. And that should fit over this guy. Yeah, it does. Okay. No issue. So let's see if we can push that in. For sure. Now let's just see if we can press this in. We'll make our adjustments later. Yeah, I think we could do that. So let me go find a little screw, and we're going to just kind of screw that up. All right, this popped right in. I got a little screw, so that should seal it. Now I can see where the pickup is. It's about here. So my guess is we're going to come back at some point, see if we can get the right one, but at least just to try it. I'll have an idea, and then I can go spend some time trying to see if I can get the correct part. But I am very suspicious. That's probably why it didn't run. Somebody was fooling with it. Yeah, see, that's not tight enough. See how easy that pulls through? So I think we can get a little bit more of a seal if I work with a bigger piece and then pop it back in. All right, I went with the bigger. This is a much thicker wall tubing, and I got a screw in that, and now it's pretty much locked in. I don't know if it rotationally, if it's okay, but it's pretty much locked in. So we'll find out, right? We'll find out in a little bit. Let me reset the camera and we'll go over to the machine. We'll get this back on. Yeah. Let's get some of this in. This is the chain lube. Get some on my fingers. We'll put some on there too. Let it up. Oh yeah, that's plenty. Get on all these gaskets a little bit. Let them up. Let's move it. It should come out though. Yeah, that feels good. Might want to put a little bit on the other end too. We'll do that later. I want to put this on first. So to put the pull start on and everything, we have to have that cover on. In order to check everything else, put a little bit of my tranny sauce in. That'll help. I should have put it in the other day. That'll only help get rid of any water or anything like that, but it'll loosen up any crap on the rings. The bigger hole, an orifice, is going to be our feed. So what we want to do is put that on there. We're going to probably need to, let's see, so that goes that way. What I remember, something like this, all right, primer out. There's your feed. And the smaller one is the return. Then we got to put this guy through. And clamp it through. That gets turned. Right. Something like that. Pull it through. It just keeps moving on me as I fuss with it. Yep, like that. But we gotta get it to come through and lock in. I think it's this way, but we'll be able to take it back off. I hope. Trying to go in. That's it. Okay. Well, that's about right. That's real close. We can adjust that later. Then this. And we have to get this through. Something like that. I'm going to do a test before I stop for tonight. Hopefully before it rains. Because if it's going to smoke, we'll do it outside. All right, how's that feel before I tighten it? So let's check throttle. Yep. It's still getting a little stuck. Piece of crap, right? It's not returning all the way back to idle. Now I want to put the idle up a little bit. Especially while we're testing it. Yeah, she's getting a little stuck. I don't think he bought an aftermarket carburetor. That wouldn't make sense because it's a Zama, and unless somebody bought it from a place that, like some of these places will give you the original equipment. Okay, again, 1/4 inch drive. Something like this, you could do 1/4 inch with a nice nut driver style so that you don't over tighten it. It's only going into plastic. I'm gonna go clean up the plug. I'm liking that. All right, on the starter mechanism, a touch of frame, this lube here, which will just kind of gel up, and you can get rid of. That's really crappy, isn't it? I don't think it's gonna break. Don't worry about the excess. It'll gel up. And same thing on this, and pull it through. It feels good. So you have to assemble all of this just to test it. And then, what can I do here? Can we take that off? Yeah, hold on. Let's just see if it comes off. Anything? Nope. All right, we need to get the banger gun. This is what the banger gun is for. Too many screws, too much stuff to break. All right, so these little banger impacts, the small ones, are useful for stuff like this because often they give you enough bang and twisting power at the same time where you would need like a hammer actuated device, which I have as well. See how that came right out? So I just bought some new bits too, as well for my hammer actuated one, because sometimes that's what you need. But these work pretty good on certain carburetor bolts, and when you can't get them off any other way. You can put some no-sees on these bolts, because they will, on these screws I should say, because they will seize. If you have them machined long enough. I mean, chances are you won't. So everybody says, this looks good in here. There's a baffle or something in there. I want to bring this over to the other table and peek at that. Here's our screen. Oh, there's another one in there too. Nice little baffle. That looks good. We're okay there. I don't see anything wrong here. Yeah, it's just a little dirty. I'm not going to mess with it. Let's get a little no-sees. It's just a touch of copper no-sees. So it's just another baffle. That wire is in a recess. Yeah, that's all good there. Let's start screwing it off. So you have to have this on before you do the pull. I'll use one of these to speed my way through. There we go. Remember, it's plastic. Don't over tighten it. You can never say that enough, right? But then when it comes back, it doesn't go back all the way still. I don't know how it shuts off. Let's get some plug clean, get the plug in. Let's see how this feels. That feels good. I'm gonna just do a quick compression test. Oh, I felt something there. 150. I don't know if you could see it. A little more, 175. And that's not bad. Don't forget, there is a little bit of juice in there, which will sweeten things up, but not all that much. Because we pulled it over a bunch. At this point right now, fellas, instead of fooling around, I just cleaned up this plug and gapped it about 28 and put a little no-sees. This is the NGK BP MBY, and it has a little groove cut in the center electrode. Very nice. So let's get this in. And I want to put a little lube in there, maybe a little like chain wax or something, and we'll get some fuel in it. All right, this is a fresh mix of 93 octane, fresh. So good to test with. And let's get it in there. Break it up. All right, that's enough. In case we gotta take it back out. All right, let's drag it outside, but first, let's check our primer. And let's see if this fills up. Yep, there it goes. Nice and full. Choke. Up is on. Let's bring it out. I'll see you guys in a minute. All right, fellas, here's what I'm thinking. So I remember on some of these with the pre-assembled fuel system, Echo, I think Still, and a few others, they had a little white cap. It looks like a little cap. It's actually a baffle. It's a baffled vent. And this, that went here, right where I put that screw. Because this cap is sealed. It's got a gasket, and some of the other caps, or the other machines, they have a little, it's like a little valve, a little neoprene valve or something, rubber valve. And that's what helps to balance the pressure in the tank without leaking. So I'm thinking we need to come back and we need to put, I don't have one of those, but we can put a filter in, you know, like the fuel filter that goes in the bottom. We could just put one of those there. I mean, I'm going to be using it. So we could try that. We'll try it in a little bit. So right now we're in choke mode, and I'm going to give it a little bit of throttle. There's a little play in here too. And it's getting stuck once again. And there's play on that, so we can make an adjustment here. So let's give it a little bit of throttle. Let's see if she starts. There we go. Full choke off. Yeah, she's not running so good. So we might want to loosen this cap a little bit. More choke. Yeah, she's not gonna run. This is why I don't usually play with these things. Yeah, she don't want to run. Let's pull it wide open throttle and see. Let's see, I can choke on it. I'll let it burn for a while. Because as soon as you come down off the throttle and you remove the choke, she just dies. Okay, so we'll put a little more choke on it. You know, it's all this homeowner-y, two-strokey garbage. Down. Yep, crap. So that's why I say I don't like to fool with these things. They're just garbage. You know, you put time and parts into it and you clean it up and you try to make it nice and it looks pretty like a homeowner would buy it, and then it doesn't last and it's just garbage. Which I don't take any of these in to ever repair anything. No money. So there was something inside of this baffle that I didn't like, and I don't think it was installed correctly, or maybe it just that's how it is, or something happened to it, or I don't know. But if you notice, it won't make any RPM and it needs all that extra fuel from the choke. So she's struggling there. So I'm just going to take this whole baffle and screen assembly off. Put it to the side. And when you looked inside that carburetor, why I rebuilt it and showed you it is because, I mean, first of all, it's a decent carburetor. It was in really nice shape. It should have been able to run just by replacing the hoses. That's how nice it was. I mean, I wish all the carburetors were like that. That little issue with the top, right, the throttle thing, I don't know what to tell you about that. I might have another one outside that I just threw out. I just did a Honda rototiller, but it's a four-stroke, little four-stroke jamming. And there was so much garbage and wax and shellac and varnish inside that carburetor. It was cooked on that we just bought a new one. And a customer, but young guy up the block, he found one brand new on eBay. Supposedly, it looked like the box is correct, but you never know. There are clones that are really good, and there are also clones and non-clones that suck. So, can we get this out? And it ran fine. It ran pretty damn good. Now, yeah, you could go buy a carburetor, but you gotta remember, like, if I was to try to fix this to sell it, I would never make a dime, right? The most you can get around here is maybe 50, 60, 70, 80, maybe $100. You know, somebody, I don't know. I gotta go see what they're selling for. They didn't sell for very much when they were new. Can I get this out? Let's get that screen out of there. I don't have to take it out all the way. I just want to get this screen out. I need a magnet. And again, if I were to buy even a cheap carburetor, would it do anything for me? And you know, the thing is, you don't know. I'd be spending time and money on this. I'd never get it back. If you'd want to do a little project, that's a different story. If it was yours and you took care of it. So, because I've had people, these are some of the worst things on the planet, like some of these designs and the way they're built. You see all this plastic and everything. I don't know what the age is. I found some more documentation up here. But if it's, let's say it's 10 years old, they were only made to really last that long. Like the Poland chainsaws and stuff like that. They're no Craftsman, basically, if you bought a Craftsman version, that's the same thing. Okay. Now, even though I loosened the cap and everything, let me show you the cap. See, I'm not seeing any air vent, and it's just got a nice seal. And in a little bit, I'll show you another cap. I may have one handy. Handy! Now, the cap that I'm referring to, or I should say the baffle vent, I don't know if they have a check ball in it. They might be able to limit the amount of pressure in the tank, and if it exceeds a certain amount, I don't know. I claim to know everything. But so now let's just pull this off and let's just do a quick compression test, because now that it's run for a bit and we can see what the actual compression is. Because remember, before I added some lubricant into it, I noticed that when you do that, it's like testing for valves by adding oil, even though there's very little oil, but it also loosens up all the gook around the rings. You got a number of things happening there. So now that's all been run through, we'll have a more honest reading. And we can see what the plug looks like. Yeah, see, she's running lean, but she's running okay. It's probably the factory plug. It's not gonna, no one's ever done anything to this thing. Let's just pull it through a few times like I did before. That's 5 good pulls. Yeah, we're still up at about 150. That's fine. We'll go back outside. We'll grab a can of gum out and we're going to spray in here. If we can get it running, we'll spray back in here. I don't know if we're not going to be able to get it in the front, and we can't get it back here. There's no way to try to test the seal. There's a seal here and there's a seal on the other side. They could be leaking. It is possible. We don't know the real build quality of the engine itself. So we'll spray back and around and whatever. All right, let's put it all back together. I'll meet you guys outside in a bit. I turn this in almost all the way. It's got a little bit more to go. That's our throttle stop, but mostly for like an idle-ish. All right, we got our vent. Got a lot of choke on. So it's not leaking, not from those areas. When I sprayed it in the middle, it shut it off because it's too much. And then if you push the primer, it overloads it. It's too much fuel. So the choke is 3/4 on, somewhere around there. That's close. Choke's off. Let's let it run. All right, so there's no idle. She'll only run on full throttle. But let's just start it up again on full throttle and see. All the way full throttle. And it's a good thing I, modified that screw a little bit, because we're all the way over that screw. So something's not right. Might need a new carburetor. That might do it. right, so as soon as I pull that throttle back, it shuts off. Let's do two things. So she makes enough power for the size right now to where it would be usable. Right, that sounds like the RPM that we should be at. Let me go get my my tack and we'll take a quick reading on it. Stand by. So when it warmed up, you heard it, it came up to good RPM and our choke is fully off. Yep, it's full throttle. $6,600. $6,800, $6,840. So no difference putting this on, which is a good sign. Let's bring it in, but it will work like this. I mean, maybe if you replace the carburetor, it might be worth it. Use it for a little while and see if I like it, if it does what I mean, all of these things are small, so they all do something. Let's find out. All right, let's take a closer look. So this screen, you can see through it. So there's nothing wrong with the screen, right? That's our spark arrestor. But then there's this baffle. So this is the gasket, and there's the aperture that it has to breathe through. When you look at the muffler, we'll look at the muffler in a bit, but now here you have this tiny little aperture, right? You can almost see in it, and then it has to come out there. So let's separate off that gasket because something's not right. By removing this and letting it run, we got RPMs that we need. It comes up. Yes, there's no idle. That may be a separate issue, and I think I know how the switch works. So it's not really meant to idle, but this is definitely affecting the RPM. It was not coming up. We were able to get it off a choke. With a little bit of choke, it did start to run better, but I think once it warmed up, it would probably be fine. You could tweak it if you had adjustable carburetor. Let's peek in there. Let me open that up. All right, I just kind of hacked it up. All right. So that's the biggest one, but you have to leave some room on the gasket so that when all of this goes on, you'll see, right, that it kind of holds, to some degree will hold that all together. And then, so I drilled out those little holes, one big one, and then we got this guy, which I made the hole just a little smaller. And let's see what happens. Let me assemble it all and we'll give it a test. So this tops it all off, and I was thinking about just leaving that because it also directs. Well, so you could just put that in there. I'll be honest with you. You don't need the rest of it.
Here you go.
But yeah, hold on. All right, so this part of the whole muffler system is back on again, and you want a bit of restriction because that baffling is what helps to reduce the noise. It is loud with it fully open. So it's spark arrested, and we got a little bit of additional sort of resonator, so to speak. Now this is the one from the Honda. I think it's the same kind of Walbro carburetor. But basically the same. But, you know, different enough. So there is a bit of slack in this cable, but the only way to take that up, because the nut is here, it's captive, is to take the carburetor off, spin this out a little bit, and then reassemble it. We're not doing that. So I just wanted to show you here. Let's turn a little light on. So here's where we are. This is basically in all the way. And there's that screw that I modified. So when we pull it all the way in, see, it's all the way. So that's full throttle as far as we're going to get it, which is fine. And here is our choke. So choke with it up, choke is all the way on, but we're just going to take it, just give it a little bit of breathing room. And then when you come back, see on the handle here, make sure you come back all the way. Once you do, it hits that stop, but that's also throwing a switch in here, killing it. So is there a mid a mid RPM-ish. Well, there's no idle. This is what you get. So it's a cheap unit. I actually did strip that guy out. So we'll have to put a tie wrap or a bread tie in or something. Like I said, tighten it by hand. You can run them in a little bit with that, but if you keep going, you're just going to blammo it. It's plastic. It's not made to come apart and put back together 1,000 times. Even a few times for service. It's just not made for it. All right, so we got fuel in it. Let's put this back on and give her a test. Yeah, let's let it warm up. Choke's off. $79.30. $8.20. All right, let's give it a test. Now, let's see if we can find a mid RPM, all right? Yeah, that, again. Maybe a new carburetor will do it. I mean, I can get it to do that. It's not very stable. Let's see what the RPM is. 2760. It's a lot quieter. It might break in, but I have to kind of finagle the choke with the RPM. It's not like you're just going to go and do it. So maybe a carburetor will do it. Well, it's good enough for now. All right, let me do a real test. Let me put some shoes on and get my Crocs off and kind of straighten up here a little bit.
Eventually.